Hello, everyone. I welcome you at our second NMT webinar. And today our topic will be reading tips and tricks. So I hope you remember that it will be like the main part of like the first part of the test. And we are going to talk about it today. I want us to shortly remind ours like what we are going to talk about today, and just why we need these webinars. So your task for today and for these webinars is just to get to know to the structure of the test, to find out some more tips about NMT, and just to be prepared as much as possible. So, the previous time we talked with you about NMT structure, how we can work with it, how we can work with our time at the test. Today, we are going to focus more on reading part. And let's shortly talk about the agenda for today. First of all, we are going to talk about saving time at reading. As you know, we have with you just 6 tasks, but we need to think how to be efficient, how to be productive at not only at reading, but today we are going to talk about reading tips. Also, I've prepared common mistakes in reading tasks, so what students usually do, and sometimes because of that, make different mistakes and waste some time. And the third topic for today will be myth about reading. So what students or maybe even teachers sometimes think it's correct to do, but actually it's not appropriate and it doesn't impact the result at all. And of course, we will have some tasks for you to practice. So I think we will have kind of efficient and productive webinar today. If you have any questions, I am happy to answer all of them. If you need more tips, more tricks of the test, please write in the chat. And the next time I will try to answer all of your questions and for us to have very nice work together. I can see that you're writing something in the chat. That is nice that you're active today. I can see some people from the previous webinar. That is nice that you are still with us. And we are going to start. So let's quickly recap the structure of reading. So as I said, at NMT we have 6 tasks, but if we are talking about reading, there are 4 tasks and 22 questions. So let's also we talked about types of tasks, and hopefully we don't have like answer the questions. No, we have just clear tasks where we need to choose some correct answer. So from question 1 to 6 and 11, 16, we have matching tasks with you. In the first part, we have match with the advertisement. In the second part, we have match the text with some article or with some short description of this paragraph. If we are talking about question 7, 10, there we need to choose the correct answer. And the last tasks that we have, these are 17, 22, where you need to fill in the gaps to make the text logical. So we will talk about all of these tasks right now. And of course, we are going to start with you with matching tasks. So I think you know that you already have seen this picture. And what we need to remember. First of all, these pictures may help us at some point of the test. But your task is not only to look at the picture, but also pay attention to the context of this text, because sometimes in these 3 rows of the text, you may see differences with the pictures. So please pay attention to the text, not the picture. Yeah, it can help, it may be helpful, but you need to rely on the text and what is written there. So, what are the main tips here? We need to remember that first of all, we need to understand the text. What we have in this text, why and how we can make the answer, how we can choose the answer. And you need to find some keywords or phrases in this text. Let's, for example, take a look at this one. And here we can see, we pride ourselves on sourcing the best contemporary artists, both established and emerging talents. So, you don't have any options right now. What can it be? What is this advertisement about? So, it may be about exhibition, it may be about competition, but we need to check some keywords to understand the answer. Here we have with you artists, here we have with you galleries. So we can, without any options, we can understand that this advertisement is about exhibition, about gallery, so about, for example, maybe museum. So here you don't have any answers, but you already have some ideas, some guesses what it can be about. So you can first of all look at the text and only then look at the answers. For you not to do this A is theater, I will find something about theater. No, try to read the text, kinda give your own answer, and then look through the options. So for you not to be confused with all of these options. So we discussed this one. Next is choose the correct option task. Here is the biggest part of reading, because here we have with you a big text. And sometimes students are kind of scared of this big text because you need to remember everything. You need to know how to read, how to remember all of these words, how to understand all of them. Actually, you don't need to do like that. You don't need to panic. You just need to concentrate on your task. So first of all, what we do, we are reading the questions. We are reading what the author of NMT wants from us, what we need to have in this text. Then we just need to read the text for general understanding. You will ask, why do you need this? You said you need questions, then you need to read the text again. No, why you need to read the text for general understanding is because sometimes at NMT you have questions like, what was the main idea of the text? Or what did the author want to say? So there is the question that checks your general understanding, not just some specific questions about the details. Of course, we will have some parts where we need details. And for this part, we need to read the text again and underline the key phrases. Because then when you understood the text, so you can kind of see, here he is talking about his school, he's talking about, I don't know, some results. Yeah. Now you know the structure and where you can find these details. So it will be easier for you to look through the text even quicker because you already focus on some points and you can concentrate your attention there, and you can make it easier for yourself. After that, then when you underline the key phrases, you need to delete 100 incorrect options. So you just need to think, no, it wasn't said here, it wasn't. So you will have already 2 options, and you need to, also it's okay to reread some parts, and you can choose the correct answer. So, one more time. We are reading the questions, then we read the text for general understanding, then we read for the details, we find the details of this text, and then we choose our correct answer. In such a way, you are working with the text efficiently, and also it will be easier for you to remember the details. So, I want us to check the example from the same text, but I already found this part where you have the question about his educational background. So, there we have what was Norman Borgward educational background. Now, you can take a look at this piece of text and decide what is the correct answer. Just for you to take a look. So here, when we are talking about his education, we need to have two ideas in mind. First of all, that we need to read the question attentively, because when you don't read them attentively, for example, you could forget that we need to talk about education. You can forget about I don't know. You could forget about option that we had. So when we read the question attentively, we need to remember all the details. What was asked in the question? Because sometimes you can have a question. What did Alisa, for example, not write? So there you have not, and you answered about what she did. So there was a mistake because you haven't read the task attentively. So such words as not, except, however, please remember them and check them in the question. Even you can underline them 2-3 times, circle them just to take a look at them. And remember, yeah, here we need to have not. So I am looking at this one. And also, in such types of texts, we can have paraphrased version of the answer. It means there is the same kind of educational background, we have school, but we can just have different phrase. And according to this text, we had a phrase switched courses, which was the main idea. So he changed his major at university. I can see that you answered correctly. So here we can see he changed, yeah, it was our answer. But in the text we have just word switch. That means totally the same. So they just changed the word and kinda wanted to confuse you. But when you are attentive, you can see all of these words. You can understand what you need to find. Okay, good. If you have any questions, please write in the chat. I'm still checking it. So please feel free to do that. We are going to move on, and we are going to move on to as for me, the most difficult part. Because here we need to really understand the text and understand the words that are going before and after the gap. Because sometimes you don't really, when you have a lot of options, you don't understand whether I said it correctly, whether it's logical. So you have a lot of thoughts about this text, about this variance. So now I want you to take a look at this and take a look at the tips that I have found for you. First of all, when we have fill in the gaps task, Here, the main idea is not not to check the general understanding of the text, but to check your ability to make logical texts. And for that, here the main tip is breakdown in logical sequencing. So there, if we are talking about friends, we can't say about one person, for example. No, we need to say about some group of people, for example. So here, my main advice is to translate the phrases. If you feel that it's helpful for you to translate, to check whether it's logical, maybe in Ukrainian it's more logical for you, and in English is not. So your task is to understand what author says here, about what he is talking right now. So there, please check what the person wants to say. And as I said, you don't need to check the general meaning of the text, the main idea of it. No, you need to focus on the sentence, which consists gap, and you need to look what comes before this gap and after this gap, because these are the main helpful tools for you that can help you, first of all, not to waste your time reading the whole text, and secondly, to understand what even part of speech you need to use after, in this gap. So here, remember, first of all, we are breaking down this text, these sentences, in logical sequences. And ask yourself the questions: is it logical? Does it sound natural? Then you need to, if you need, it's like my advice for you. If you don't need translation, it's nice. But if you feel that you need translation, that you need to check whether you're correct or no, okay, of course, you can translate these phrases and understand the meaning of that sentence. And look at what comes before and after the gap. We will have some practice, so you will have some time to talk about this task. We will use all of these strategies, all of these tips, so we will talk about them one more time. Okay, then we discussed with you these tasks. I hope it was clear for you. And now I want us to talk about red flags at reading. So I have already mentioned some of them, but to sum up what we have is I have prepared this list of the words, of the phrases. The biggest, the most dangerous red flag at reading is not reading instructions. Sometimes students think, oh, it's clear, I don't need to check it, I already know what task it is, I have written 100 tests, so I don't need them. No, you need to read the instructions. It is the main thing that you need to focus on when you start doing the test, because you don't know what the author wants from you in this exact sentence. So please, even if you did these tasks 100 times, no, take your time, it is 3-4 seconds for you to read, but then you understand what is your task. Because then when you don't understand your task, you can't make the correct answer. You can't choose the correct answer if you don't know your goal for that. The second red flag, and the red flag that most of students are worried about, is translating every word. Actually, at the test, you don't need to know every word in the test. You don't need to remember. Yeah, instructions is like a question. You don't need to remember, I don't know, every word that is related to the text. You don't need even to translate every word because that will be much harder when you are focusing on English, then you translate into Ukrainian and you have a mess in your head. No, don't do that. Try to focus more on doing the task and catching the main idea. If you feel that you need to translate, try to translate some part at the test, at the text. Don't do that like sentences, whole text. No. If you feel, okay, I didn't remember that, but I remember that it was like I had some association with this word. In such way, you like make up your like sequence how you can refresh your knowledge about this word, how you can remind it. So the translation is okay, but not for every word. You don't need that at all. The third one is overthinking. Of course, I think it's clear that you are stressed, that you can panic at the test, that you can, I don't know, be confused because you are under stress. But overthinking is the reason why people do mistakes, why people are not sure about the answer. You just need to rely on your feelings sometimes. You need to rely on the first, like, I don't know, thought that came in your mind, and recheck it. Just, okay, I thought it was C. I will reread the text again and, like, put, like, a dot that it was correct answer. Don't overthink, because when you overthink, you can have like 4 options out of 4 options, because you think, oh, and this can be correct and this can be correct. No, try just to think, okay, I have 4 questions, like 4 answers, then 2 answers are not logical here at all. I just delete it, I don't look at them. And then you can take a look at these 2 options. But don't do like that stuff when you have a lot of options and no, try to find some arguments, try to find some proofs in the text that may help you. Then the fourth red flag is spending too much time on one question, on one task as you want. Why? Because when you spend not like too much, but much time on one task, you when you like start focusing on one task, you forget about something that will be like in 10 minutes. No, you need to remember that you have some limited time that you need to just like divide into parts. Okay, I had here, for example, 5 minutes for one text, 5 minutes for a second text. And when you see that your time is like is finishing, and you feel that I need to go to the next task, yeah, you can just go to the next task and then come back to the previous one. Then come back with maybe some knowledge that you have found, like with some thing that you have found in the next text. But you can just remember, I remember that there was some phrase that was in the first text, and now I understand what it means, for example. So there, you can like, it can be helpful for you, like just to pay your attention to something else and then come back. And the last but not the least is relying on memory only. As I said about overthinking, as I said about not reading instructions, please, I am sure that you have good memory. I'm sure that you can remember 10, 100 words at the test, but it doesn't mean that you don't need to double check when you found the answer. But some kind of like I don't know, thought is like flying there over there, and you're like, no, something is wrong. Recheck, reread. Make sure that it is your correct answer. Make sure that that was the correct answer you were looking for. So please keep this in mind and check that you don't have these mistakes. Check that you don't spend too much time, don't overthink. I understand that it may be difficult, but when you understand what you're doing, you can come back to the reality and just keep going. Because when you stop, you can't see what is going to be the next. But when you're going to the next stages, you always can come back. You can always come back and do this task. But if you spend, I don't know, 30 minutes out of 1 hour and you like don't have a lot of time, you will start panicking the next like moment that you don't then you don't have enough time, you don't have enough, I don't know, knowledge, I don't know, anything, and you start overthinking. So no, just keep going and come back. And right now, we are going to talk about some myth about reading. But before I will start talking about my myth about reading that I have found, I want you to write your myth, and we will kind of like play a game, myth versus reality, and check what myth you have and what myth I have found for you. So please write in the chat, and we are going to discuss them. Okay, I will start with the first one. And the first one is that you should read the entire text before looking at the questions. Sometimes students, and maybe me as a teacher sometimes also do make this mistake and read the entire text before checking what I need in this text. So here, pay attention that the reality is opposite, and a better strategy is to quickly check the text, and look at the questions before reading, so you know what to look for and can focus on relevant sections. So as I told you before, it helps you to orient over the text. Because when you see a brand new text for you, you haven't seen this text. It is huge. It is, I don't know, there are 4 or 5 paragraphs. You can be shocked. But when you just quickly check the text, when you get to know it, it is easier for you to work with it. So please don't forget that first of all, we are checking the text, looking at the questions, and then just read for the details. Okay. We are going to move on, and I remind you that I'm waiting for your myth about reading or what mistakes you're doing when you read the text. And we are going to the next. Every detail in the text is important. Hopefully or unfortunately, I don't know, these like the details in the text are important until the moment that we read the questions. So every detail can be important before you read it. Because sometimes when you have a text about the history of cars, and you have, I don't know, when the car was created, for example, you don't really care about the features of cars that that cars used to have, I don't know, 100 years ago. No, not every detail in a reading is crucial for answering the questions. So there you need to focus on main ideas, key arguments, and supporting evidence. Evidence, we remember, it's proof. So yeah, we need to check some key words that can help us understand the text. So don't forget that here we don't need every detail. Okay. Like I will stop for now and read your ideas. And here I can see answering the questions without looking at the text. Okay, interesting idea. So now we know that we can't do that because it will be a waste of time. And probably you won't find correct answers. And also read a whole text and translate every word. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, some student asked me about translation of the text, or just like remembering all these words from the text. Yeah, sometimes you may uh, have this idea that it will help you. But when you take like have a lot of things in your head, when you want to remember everything, in the result you won't remember anything because you want to keep everything in mind, and it won't work at all. Okay, so we are going to move on, and we are going to talk about the third myth, that longer texts are more difficult. At NMT, you can see, yes, that we have one big text, um, and six small advertisements that are, yeah, really like 3 rows of text. Yeah, and why I don't know why people think that they are longer. They can be longer. They can be more difficult, because sometimes you need to remember all the details to understand the main idea. Maybe in such a way it is more difficult, like to remember, like to check like this idea going like through all of the text. But for your task, you don't need like to catch the main idea in some tasks. You just need to understand um, some small details. So for us, I would say that this text might be actually straightforward, and these shorter texts maybe even have less understandable, less clear language and abstract ideas because they want to confuse us. They want us to check like, yeah, I think it's small, so it is easy, but sometimes your focus on understanding the content doesn't depend on the length. Sometimes you may not understand the text even if it's small, because you think, it's small, it's easy. No, sometimes you need to think more about these shorter texts. So please remember that the length of the text is not the main problem that you have. The main problem that you have is to understand the details of it. And I can see one more myth, or maybe mistake, or maybe stereotype, I don't know how to call it, thinking that the words in the text are level C1. Actually, from my experience, I would say that I was the person who thought that reading in English is reading words that are C1 level, and till maybe the age of, I don't know, 19. I haven't read English books. I hadn't read English books because I was thinking that these texts are very difficult. These texts I can't read such text because I don't have C1 level, for example. But actually, sometimes texts are very easy. Texts don't have a C1 level, and at NMT you won't have advanced, like very advanced language. No, of course there are texts that are difficult. I won't say like that you will have some topic that, I don't know, family, friends, and animals. No, there will be some topics that may be difficult for you, but it doesn't mean that you can't work with that. So you just need to read more, practice more, and concentrate on things you know rather than that you don't know. And we are going to move on. And the myth number 4, if I'm not mistaken, is that you should never reread the passage. So now we know that rereading is helpful for us to make sure our answer was correct. Because there you can confirm your answers and check whether you were correct or no. So I really advise you to reread the texts or even the parts of the text because you already orient in the text. You need just to reread the part to understand whether it is clear for you or no, whether it was correct or no. So I hope that with the help of this information, you won't have any more problems with reading. But what I also wanted to mention that not every strategy that I told you right now can work for you. What it means? What does it mean? It means that for some people, it is easier to translate their sentences to catch the idea. For some people, it is easier to like read the words, have some synonyms without translation. You need to try. You need to check what works for you and what you can apply at the real test. So when you have time right now before the test, try to check. Try to kind of say find out what fits for you. But when we're talking about red flags and myths, guys, I would really recommend you remember all of these red flags and check whether you are the person with them with these red flags, and try avoiding them. Try not Try not to overthink, because sometimes these red flags can impact our performance and at the test, and we don't need that at all. So, we have one more myth. So, reading faster leads to higher scores. I really like this myth because sometimes I have students that want to read faster, and then when I ask questions, this person doesn't remember anything. And it means that this myth doesn't really meet the reality. It means that reading faster sometimes doesn't help us to understand the text. Because speed, of course, it's important for us, especially at the test. But reading too quickly can lead to misunderstanding some information. So try to work more more quality than fast, because in the result, you will have the result like of points of your score, and nobody will think about how fast you did this task. There are no, I don't know, additional points for people who will pass NMT for, I don't know, 20 minutes, for 30 minutes. You can, of course, do it, but when you have mistakes, this is our main kind of like indicator how you did it. So take your time, as I can see some wrote here. Take your time, read and understand the text. Don't rush somewhere. Oh, you have your time. You need to use it as much as you can, and as I would say productive as you can. So don't forget about this. And now we are going to have a small practice. And I would like us to start, of course, with the first type of questions, the first task at NMT. And I want you to write in the chat what type of tasks are we going to talk about. So we have with you fill in the gaps, we have matching, and we have choose the correct option. Okay, so the first task that we are going to have is matching task. We have advertisements and we have got options. So we are going to start with this text. It is very small, so try to read it, no, I won't say fast, but try to catch the main idea of it and give me the answer. I can see that Natalia Boris said choose the correct option. We are going to talk about matching. Maybe we talk about listening. But we don't have listening at NMT. Okay, so well, we are going to start with the first one. And here we are talking about, tell me please what it is. Here we are talking about age, gaining a degree. You can think that this text is about career, because here we have in helping students achieve a successful careers, but we need to see that first of all, we are talking about university, and we have offers a range of undergraduate and postgraduate programs. So it means that this is an advertisement about education, not about work. Okay, we are going to move on to watermelon eating contest. So we remember that when we are talking about matching tasks, we of course we look at the pictures, but we don't pay attention to them very much. We pay attention to the text. What is written in this text? I can see answer. It is answer D. Okay. We have answer F. Okay, good. So that is answer F. And here we can actually see watermelon eating contest. So where people need to eat watermelon to give to get some prize. So we have the word contest, we have the word competition. They are synonyms. We can understand that this text is about take part in a competition. And the last wants to work or settle overseas. I can see answer D. Anybody else wants to write their answer? Okay, so the last is D. So first of all, we are talking about we have want to work or settle overseas. But when we take a look at this heading, we may think that it can also be, for example, have their house mended or buy a house. But there we have got occupations in demand. So what jobs are people looking for? IT, engineers, healthcare, hospitality, and etc. So here we are talking about jobs. So please pay attention to these small details. Because sometimes you can just take a look at these, for example, heading, okay, settle overseas, so we can, I don't know, move abroad. No, you need to read till the end. Okay, so now we are going to work more with choose the correct option task, where you have the text and you need to understand what description fits this text. We will have with you the text about plants, and let's remind the strategy of what we do here. First of all, when we see texts, we need to read the question, so what we need to talk about. So then we need to describe one plant. Then we need to read the text to understand what this text wants to say. So there we need to underline key phrases, keywords, to like have some kind of like list of things that can be used in the answers. And only then we need to choose the correct answer. So underline the key phrases in this text and find the correct answer. Yeah, I'll give you like 30 seconds to read. And we are going to start checking. Okay. So I can see answer E and answer H. And we have got, okay, I'm sorry. Answer H. Why? Okay, you had an option of E was shot in a science fiction film. But you need to take a look that it might belong in a fictional planet. There is no information that it was actually in a science fiction film. So there you need to skip this answer. Because the main feature of this flower that the flower opens and all the beetles go into the world. So it lets the trapped insects free, so they can go and free their and live their lives. Okay. What about the 12th text? Vegetable sheep. I can see already the answer D. Okay. I will wait. Okay. So we are going to check, and this is D. So I can see you have some correct answers here. So this plant used to deceive domestic animals. There we can find a small detail that sheep dogs were so misled by this species that they actually tried to chase. So these dogs thought that this plant is a real sheep, and it was like a deception for them. So here we can take a look that it is answer D. Okay, good job that you have correct answers. That is nice. And let's move on to the next question. And it will be 13. Mm-hmm. Okay, I can see G. So let's quickly check. And that is correct. Why? Because there we have a small detail that this flower, this plant, was called after the Austrian botanist who was the first to describe it. And the answer has the name of its discoverer. So I think it's easy, so we can just see that there were rephrased sentences that you need like to find and to give the correct answer. We will have 3 more texts about flowers. So the same, you will have just like 30 seconds to read. For now, we won't have the rule of speed that you need to take your time and read. No, there we will have like with you quick reading. And we are going to talk about Venus flytrap. Okay, we are going to check the answer. And Venus flight, okay, 1 second. Venus flytrap is the plant that catches insects for food. And where can we find it? We have the plant needs a snack, so he eats it, and they do their best to prevent the beetles and spiders from escaping. So they eat them and don't let them escape. So you were correct if you chose letter F. Okay, what about 15? Elephant foot yam. Let's check what we have here. Okay, you think it's B, but actually it is A. And let's check why it is A, because there we can see that it can be ground into flour for making bread. So this plant can be used in baking. Maybe you thought it is B because here we have last only about 5 days, but 5 days is not a decade, so please pay attention to that. And 16, we are going to talk about corpse flower. So tell me please, what answer have you chosen? I can see one answer, and that is B. So this plant comes into blossom once a decade. So here we can already see that here we have these plants blooms every 10 years. So decade, it is 10 years. And we may can understand that it is a correct answer. Okay, very nice. So I can see that most of you have the correct answers. So I think it's time for us to move to fill in the gaps task. So right now, we'll have with you 6 gaps. And let's remember that there we have with you this strategy. First of all, we don't need to read the text, the whole text. We need to read some part before and after the gap. And we need to focus on logical sequence. What should come in this gap? What should we see in this gap? So, 17. Any ideas? Okay, so we are going to check 17. 1 second. And here we can see that it is B. So there is nothing quite like walking on your own with nothing but you and your surroundings to keep your company. So there, we need to talk about something that will be with you. Okay, very nice that you have correct answers. Good job. So we are moving to sentence 18. And there we have the government plans to introduce a new law in September stating that all tourist tracking in the country must have, you think, at least one government-approved guide. Yeah, that is true. So here we government needs to have some kind of like approvement to the person who will have these guides. Okay. The next we have 19. Before it was always suggested. Yeah, we had with you one government approved guide. So it's logical that we will have that you hire a guide or porter, so the person who will guide you in trekking. Because there we can see, but it's never been compulsory for independent backpackers and travelers. Okay, nice. So we are moving on, and here we have the new requirement will cost backpackers and travelers $10 per day. And he said it is a very nominal amount. You think it? Okay, it's F. That won't affect the tourist arrivals. So it is like affordable thing, and it won't influence arrivals, the number of people who will come here. Okay. Okay. I can see that you chose C as a requirement for travelers. Here, we are not talking about like it's clear that if we need to pay, it will be a requirement, so it's not logical to say here like as a requirement one more time. Okay, 21 will be the situation is similar in neighboring Bhutan, and we have with you by the government and all travelers must book through a tour company. Okay, here we have got F. So there we need to book a tour company, and it means that in this city, or maybe area, independent travel is forbidden. So we can't have individual tracking there. So you need to book a tour company. so you can't go just by yourself. And last, that country is looking to expand what? As a safe destination. So this country, it wants to expand themselves to be a safe destination for tourists. As I can see, you had small mistakes. It's okay, you will work with them, but don't forget about the strategies that I told you about. And if you want to have more more effective tips and more preparation tips there on NMT, please scan the QR code. There you will find an article that you can read and check more recommendations, more advice to prepare for NMT. So that was all from my side. Don't forget that we will have one more webinar, and it will be about use of English, and it will be on the 28th of March at the same time. So I will be happy to see you. Yeah, thank you very much for webinar that you were active. So have a good evening and have a good weekend as well. So goodbye and see you next time.